All right. So I'm going to riff on a few things, starting with an experience I had recently at with a company, let's say, a health practice, and they call themselves holistic. So, as an Ayurvedic practitioner, a holistic health practitioner for many years, I have this idea of what holistic means. For me, it's about mind, body, spirit, treating the organism as a whole, not separating it into parts, seeing the whole vision and embodying that whole vision. And I think a part of my story has been about feeling like an imposter. So, not being able to step forward because I wasn't complete, because I was not embodying what I believed to be this perfect facilitator or practitioner that is in a position to support other people. Slowly, I have unfolded that story. I have let go a lot of these expectations that I've put upon myself, and I've stepped forward in ways that feel comfortable for me. And not comfortable, it's never really comfortable putting myself out in front of people to be a guide or a teacher, but in ways that have pushed my envelope, pushed my edge just enough to help the growth process. And so that with kind of the framework of understanding also that we're moving into a new paradigm. We're moving into a place where old structures are not serving us anymore. I think we're seeing the fall. A lot of what we thought were there for us are not actually there for us. They actually have a different mission than having the true heart of humanity and well-being of humanity as their purpose. So we know that that's not the case for many of these structures that are in the world that have been running and holding the power for a long time. So that is all crumbling, and we know this. And so if we stand in this place of that's crumbling, now what? This new timeline is emerging. This new earth is emerging. And the people who are standing as the architects of the new earth have the well-being and the highest good of humanity in the forefront. And that's so beautiful. And that is the place that I'm walking towards. That is the anchor in which I am being held on the earth and in my work to support this rising of the new earth, this new timeline. And so I do that in my work by supporting mind, body, spirit, the mind, body connection primarily. And what I'm realizing is that as we reconnect to our body, we can have this communication between our mind and spirit with our body. Many of us have left our body behind, or we are so in the mind that we are trying to control our vehicle through the mind, rather than being tuned in to what the body is telling us, what the body needs, and the wisdom of the body. So in my work, this somatic body work, we get back in touch with the body and unfold its wisdom. Because the body is Mother Earth. It's made of minerals. It's made of the stuff of the earth, the 5 elements. And so it carries a wisdom. We also carry water in our body, and this water carries the memory of all there is. It also carries future memory. It also carries codes of what is possible, right? If we just take the moment to listen. So with that mind-body connection, there comes a sensitivity. There comes this sensitivity to sensation, the sensorial world, through the sense organs, right? Through the ears, eyes, nose, mouth, through the skin, and then also extrasensory perception as well, which a lot of people want to say is weird or out of the ordinary. maybe not even real. But what I'm come to realize is that these extrasensory perceptions are very real. They are very real to me. I have the experience every day. And so a lot of my journey has also been about embodying and trusting the wisdom of my body and trusting the sense organs, and now learning to trust these extrasensory perceptions. Like, what does it feel like to be in a place where there's a lot of Wi-Fi, a lot of action? It's a building, there's enclosed spaces, there's elevators, there's not a lot of light. It's also high up off the ground, so it's not as connected to the earth. Like, how does that kind of building feel in my body being inside that thing, being inside that container? Also, like an airplane, how do I feel inside of an airplane? And I'm very aware of those things in those places compared to how do I feel when I walk into an ancient church with tall ceilings, with beautiful architecture, with stained glass, with these gorgeous harmonics. How do I feel in that place compared to a square building? It's been very revealing to me, and I know where I feel good. I feel good with my feet in the ground, feet in the river or water. I feel good in my bed, in my pillows with the Wi-Fi off. I feel good in meditation and in my sanctuary healing space. I feel good when I have, solfeggio music playing or high vibrational music playing. I feel good with my singing bowls and my tuning forks and my fascia balls and my essential oils and my herbs, my teas in my kitchen with the water that I got from a well and the water that I've structured. Those things make me feel good and they make me feel grounded. Also with space, open skies, being near a tree in the forest, all these things are deeply nourishing. Being in ceremony, surrounded in a circle, sitting in circle around a fire with other people, other humans, having a sound bath, listening to the forest, to the birds, feeling the wind on my skin. Those things, those sensory perceptions feel really good to me. And speaking to some of those more extrasensory experiences, now that I realized the work has become that I am in tune with the water in your body on the table. I can feel the water under my hands. I'm tuned into the fluidic body, and the water shows me the way. So the water in your body is instructing me where it can move and where it's blocked. And my hands serve as a tool to be able to get that water to flow, to unblock the dams. And then the water can flow. And that means when the water's flowing, the life force is flowing, the communication, the electricity is flowing back to the central nervous system, and you're getting a lot of feedback. And through that, you gain more mind-body awareness and connection. And then wisdom comes online. Old traumas come back to the surface to be processed. So much can happen. You can see colors. You can have downloads, memories, connect in with your inner child, past life understanding. There's so much that can be revealed through this mind-body connection and the water. And while I'm on the body, my hands are serving as a perception tool. And then through the hands, I'm able to see, when my eyes are closed, the water. And so that might sound weird. It might sound like, oh, that's a gift. That's so interesting. Like, that might just be the way that my perception has fine-tuned itself. But that doesn't mean it's not accessible to others. And your extrasensory perception may come in other ways, like through clairaudience, clairsentience, clairfeeling, right? Clairvoyance. So it's just all of these clairs or these extrasensory perceptions come online when we've deepened into this work and we've deepened into being with ourselves and our body. So all that to be said, what it means to be holistic. So if you slap a name on your company or your business and you call it holistic or you call it whatever, it doesn't necessarily mean that that business or that framework, that structure is going to reflect the name. So when I go into a business that's called holistic whatever, I have this feeling of what that's going to be like. And what I realized is that, and this should seem obvious, that not every mask, right, not every costume that we put on is what's under the surface. And I was struggling with that moment of, do I say what I feel when I walk into this place? And since a lot of my own work through my throat chakra, speaking my truth, communicating my truth, and this is part of why I'm even on this, recording myself speak, is because I do believe now there are codes for others to hear the truth or resonate with some sort of truth that may be inside of you as well. And so I said the thing. I said, I come into this place and you have the essential oils, you have the homeopathy, you have a picture of the Chinese meridian system and how they relate to the teeth. And wow, that's great. And that was the things that I saw, right? You take out amalgam, you don't do root canals, you try to save the teeth, you also look at bacteria and pH levels in the mouth and the microbiome. But none of that has been really followed up with. No one sat me down, talked about my bacteria, talked about my lifestyle and diet and how I can support a healthy microbiome in my body, which also affects the pH level in the mouth, which can help preserve the teeth, right? But no one did that, okay? And because then we would be dealing with the mind body, right? They've never talked about how I can support my nervous system or my spirit, right? So how is that holistic? Maybe it's alternative, okay? Like I could get down with the name of alternative, that you're offering a different pathway to dentistry. And then another piece of this is that when I was in the chair getting work done in my mouth, and many of you understand that the mouth is a portal. It's a sacred portal for the voice. It also reflects the yoni, right? And the lower chakras as well. It's a mirror, okay? So you are accessing, literally your intestinal tract, right? Your mouth and tongue is connected to your anus. That channel is connected. It's one, right? Enter and exit. And sometimes the other way around. So this is a very sacred place. The tongue it's very sensual. It's sensorial, and you're also entering my body. So if the body is a sacred temple as well, the mouth is very sacred. And so when you're sitting in a chair, you lay yourself down, you give power to another person or a group of people who are going to be working on your body. Granted, I don't necessarily know these people. I've taken some time to talk and have some interactions, but sometimes the first time you meet someone, they have their glasses on, their mask on, their hairnet on, they are covered head to toe, their feet are covered, everything is covered, and they don't even look at you in the eyes when they walk in the room. This I have a problem with. To not sit down, look at me in the eyes, connect with me. I would prefer to even just take a deep breath together. Start the coherence, start that co-regulation of what is about to happen that is so, so sacred, that you are going into my mouth, into my body, in my sacred portal. And yes, maybe I have high expectations for this because this is how I treat my clients when they come in the room. I connect, I listen, I share. We start to build a coherence and a trust from when you walk in the space, right? I wouldn't just say go, lay down, get undressed, lay down on the table, and let me just, do what I do on your body without you saying or having any type of say in this. So this is the framework that I'm here to shift. And so I said something because as I was on the chair, and I have spoke up throughout the process. I have spoken, when an assistant that I haven't met has come in, they start asking me questions. And I said, well, have you looked at my chart? No, they have not. They just want me to repeat my story all over again. And I'm not doing that. You can read about what's going on and what you're about to do going into this. I think that's part of their responsibility. Especially in a place that says that they are holistic, there should be some level of awareness. There should be some slowing down. Okay. And that's what I noticed, is that as these people are working in my mouth, I hear people come in and out of the room. This person, she's yanking on my cheek, and she's pulling too hard, and she's got an instrument in the back of, pushing on my jaw, which felt really unnecessary. And then, they're talking back and forth, they're handing tools back and forth, and there is a lot of chaotic energy. And not to mention, because of my extrasensory awareness, I can feel the dentist's nervous system, the assistant's nervous system, the one that's coming in and searching through the drawers. I can feel that. So, it doesn't help when someone has anxiety to go into a place like this and to be met with that sort of energy. Granted, I did do my part, drank my lemon balm, I meditated in the morning deeply, and I came in with my eye mask and my earplugs and my lavender oil and my crystals to support me. So that has been my experience in going through some of this dental work that I've shared with some of you. And I also could feel that specific dentist that I had requested to work on me, because he had met me before, he had worked on me before, and I felt that it was generally good vibes, right? Generally pretty good. He was pretty chill. That day, he had 2 emergency situations where he had to, go in and work on the patient, and then he was still going on with his day. He, you could tell that his energy was being pulled in a lot of directions, assistants asking him questions, needing him here, needing him there. And he had to take a few breaks during my chair work. So anyway, that was all felt. Now, baseline of this framework of calling yourself holistic, but still working in a very corporate-minded, pushing forward this fast momentum of push, it is not holistic. And so we know that, right? This push of having to get up every day, commute to work, in a car that's a box, go to work in a box, put in the hours, and then, do a job maybe you don't even really like to do, and do these things in order to get money. Baseline understanding is that our productivity relies, is dependent on our worth, or our worth is dependent on our productivity in life and how much money we're making or how much we're doing in a day. And so how can we slow that train down? How can we slow that train down? Because that train is causing autoimmune issues, all kinds of diseases, digestive issues, stress, heart-related issues, you name it. This is what's happening to the people in our society, to humanity, because of this push, because of the not honoring the cycles and the biorhythms and our nervous systems. We are overriding all of that in our mind because of a belief that has been implanted into our collective psyche about pushing forward and about producing more, and that you're not worthy, right? And that our bodies are just that, meat suits. They're just meat suits, and they don't matter. And also, when you don't feel good or you don't feel well, you should go to the doctor. And that a tiny symptom that's happening in your body that you feel off about, you go to the doctor and they don't have any solution for you. So my idea is that if we slow down the train, we stop doing what we're expected to do every day, and we start to tune into what we need and what our body needs, then we can build a framework from that rest and digest state where our heart comes online, our throat comes online, our extrasensory perceptions come online, and we start to move from a heart space and a grounded, rooted space rather than a go, 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 I gotta. Okay, so that was the vibe of this corporate structure that was calling themselves holistic. And I said something. I spoke up. I have long been battling with this idea of my truth, of what I feel, and then actually saying it to others, because I know that it won't be received necessarily well. And it wasn't received well. And I spoke calmly, and I shared, what that feels like to be in this structure of the constant text messages, that everyone moving around, going so fast, the push for new clients, the push forward is felt in that building. And she said, well, you should see us in the morning. We're so positive. And I was like, wow, that's really interesting. Like, I see the positivity. I see this mask of, hi, how's your day? How are you enjoying the weather? Is everything great? How are you doing? And that's all great surface level, right? But then underneath that, I know they're overworked, probably underpaid. And I don't know that any of these people have actually maybe meditated, gone to a sound bath, or done any kind of body work, but they're been dropped into this position, and now they are trying out the thing. They're trying it out, and it's surface level. And that's okay, because we all start somewhere. The journey always starts somewhere. I have been through all the levels of the journey, and I'm still working through the depths, through the layers, through the unfolding of my own authenticity. And this is part of that, is speaking the truth of, hey, this is what I'm feeling when I come into this. And the fact that you call your company holistic, it doesn't resonate with what I know to be holistic. And, she said to me, well, this is not a spa. And I was like, well, I definitely did not expect this to be a spa, but also you're not any different than any other dentist. And she didn't like that. And said, oh, we're not different. No, you're not different. And said, you've got the essential oils and the things, you've got the mask, but the real meaning of holistic is not coming through. So I just felt like wherever I can plant a seed for a new framework to evolve, it's not my job to see that seed through or to water that seed, but at least I could put it in that garden and see what happens. I feel that's part of my job. And it's a lot of what I do with my clients too. It's just planting seeds. And that's an honor. And it's a gift to be able to walk with people and walk them through this journey of this mind-body experience and connection into unfolding the layers and the distortions that have held us back, that have kept us in this push of productivity, and where we've betrayed ourselves. We've betrayed our bodies, we've betrayed our voices, we've betrayed our hearts and our truth in order to keep up with whatever this machine wants us to keep doing. And we're reversing that. We're pulling the brake on this train, and we're slowing it way down. And so if you have the capacity to start to pull that brake on your own manifestation of however this societal collective belief has played out in you, then you are doing your part. Just pulling the brake, starting to slow down, starting to listen, starting to take moments of silence and reflection, starting to get into nature, getting in water with consciousness, with awareness of how am I connecting to this moment? How am I connecting to this very present moment now? What is happening in my body? And how can I honor that? How can I really acknowledge what is happening in my body, welcome it in, thank it for being there, and then maybe just being with that part, not even having to take it any steps forward. But then once I can just be with whatever is, getting curious on what it needs and taking steps towards that need, fulfilling that need. And this process of raising the vibration, healing the past, is very uncomfortable. It is not fun to sit with the discomfort and the pain and the betrayal that we've put ourselves through. It's not comfortable. And the beauty is, though, is that that pain turns into power. The pain turns into power. And if we can sit with that pain and let pain come in, think about all of the pills and medications for pain, for people to have to avoid pain. And yes, they are necessary when we're going through necessary medical procedures. But how in other parts of our daily life are we avoiding pain and discomfort? And if we learn to sit with that pain and discomfort, there's possibility. Because the pain and discomfort keeps us stuck. We're stuck in a loop of pain, worry, fear, whatever loop it is, we get stuck. And so how can we offer more flow through awareness, through breath, through the mind-body connection, putting our hands on ourselves, giving us ourselves this biofeedback of our own hands, and then letting it move. And sometimes that movement is really uncomfortable because it comes up as tears, becomes as emotion. And we've been told we're too sensitive and too emotional, and that, feelings aren't facts and these types of things. It's like, yeah, well, maybe they're not facts, but we need to make space for those feelings to move and to be with. So this is how we create the new framework of the new earth, right? This new timeline that's available for us in truth and in love and compassion and in forgiveness. But that betrayal wound can be really tough to sit with. There's a lot of layers in that betrayal of our own self-betrayal, of allowing others to have power, and we give away our power to them. And then when we realize that that's what's happened, we're sitting with our own self-betrayal. And that's an uncomfortable one to be with. But on the other side is more light, more energy, more love, more potential, more possibility for joy. And this is the beauty that we can invite into our lives, into this new timeline, and then start to create structures that are based on that. Recently having an idea about a whole different kind of healthcare system, right? The one that's in place now is the sick care system, right? But what if we build a network of healers that are here for the greater good of humanity, that want to support this new earth timeline of love and compassion and of healing and of joy and of being connected to the earth and to our bodies? And so how can we create a whole new network or framework of healthcare around that baseline of true holistic care? And so that is a code that's coming in for me, which I'm sure I'm not alone in. I'm sure that other people have already even started that framework. They are already creating that structure. It's just now that it's coming into my consciousness of really on the ground how this new earth is going to look. And if you're here with me for the ride, thank you for being here. Thank you for being with me. Thank you for your willingness, your honesty, and your small movements forward towards being with your individual self, so those codes and that vibration can ripple out into the collective, because that's what we need. We need more people that are doing this work, that are rooted in, wanting to heal, wanting to find their voice, wanting to find their authenticity and live their dream life. So if you're here for it, you can put a like, you can leave me a comment. Tell me how you are anchoring this new earth frequency and these codes into your life. Have you experienced similar stories in your life of how you've given up your power, how you've given it away to structures that you felt were bigger than you. I've done it over and over again, and now I'm healing that wound. So if you're with me on healing that, tell me how you're doing it. Drop me a like, subscribe to my channel. Thanks for being here.